This is actually going to be a really tough review for me to do. Why? Because this is a two-parter. And you know how two-parters work. Instead of making it two separate videos, why not just make it one big review? You like that, right? Been doing that since Season 1. Hello everyone, this is Mega Man NG, and I welcome you guys to another TMNT 2012 Season 2 episode review. Today we're going to be looking at The Manhattan Project, or Wormquake as it was aired on Nickelodeon. Before I begin with this, I do want to say that I looked it up on the TMNT wiki, and good God, the episode was aired a week and a half in advance on Nick.com. And part of me wonders, why would they do this? I don't really know all the answers, but what I do know is that I think personally that would have been a bad move. Or, I don't know. I don't have all the answers with it, but if anyone can figure things out, let me know. So yeah, I'll be providing a summary of this episode, as well as some of the main points. And believe me, for a two-parter, there is a lot. And I do mean a lot. Let us get started. A skirmish between the Turtles and the Foot goes bad when an earthquake occurs. Meanwhile, Shredder has returned from Japan, bringing along a new ally, Tiger Claw. Considering the situation, Leo asks Splinter for a bit of help in regards to Karai. Dom, meanwhile, tries to put his animosity towards Casey aside in the hopes of stopping a Krang plot. But this plot has to do with gigantic blue Krathor-that-Griggin worms, forcing the heroes to work double time. Later on, Splinter gets captured, forcing Leo, Raph, and Mikey to save him from the Shredder. It's a situation that can't be avoided for anyone. Can the Turtles be able to save Splinter, stop the Shredder, and slow down the Krathor-Griggin worms? No, seriously, I can't even say it right. But yeah, it's the summary in a nutshell for what I consider to be a very epic two-parter. This two-parter was really epic for a lot of reasons. Hence why I had to take a lot of notes to make sure everything about it, I would go through every detail with it. For starters, the intro actually gets a bit of an update. It's updated to full. When you watch the intro to the TMNT show every time the episode starts and they show a few things. Well, this episode's a bit different because they showed two updates. First one is the villain showcase. They updated and include Razar, Squillinoids, and of course Tiger Claw. And it's pretty nice. And expect another change to happen when we reach Season 3. Oh, that's going to be a field day. The other one is that instead of the scene with the Turtles taking down the Krang in some scenes, instead they pretty much use their grappling hooks. It's a minor addition, but I liked the previous one a lot better. Yeah, like I mentioned, it's a two-parter with a threat that's twofold. You have the Shredder, who has brought along a new second-in-command, Tiger Claw. Speaking of which, this is Tiger Claw's first appearance on the show. He is voiced by Eric Bauza, and he does a fantastic job voicing him. Surprisingly enough, Tiger Claw would be a character that would last throughout most of the entire series, all the way to the end of all the way to, I believe, Season 5. He would also be a threat that the Turtles will have to contend with for a very long time. I kid you not, this guy is no joke. He is no laughing matter either. If you saw the episode and saw how dangerous Tiger Claw is, you'll know why. And he is a dangerous foe, more dangerous than the Shredder, but I believe equally they're both just as bad. But yeah, I was also kind of sad that Tiger Claw would have his last role during the whole Cavacus arc. But it was fitting because now with the fighting over, he decides to form a truce and everything's all hunky-dory. But for his first appearance, it was pretty awesome. We also get a first appearance of the Krathor-Ragoons. I'll just call them the Krang Worms. Why? Because it's hard enough trying to even say the name. Or even pronounce it for that matter. These things are gigantic blue worms responsible for dangerous tremors that are affecting Manhattan. Not to mention they are also a source of mutagen for the Krang to use. In a way, they're pretty much the source. They pretty much store the mutagen in their bodies, and then the Krang uses to extract the mutagen and place them in canisters. Similar to how cows work when they have milk, and thinking about it is all just gross. It's just gross in so many ways. But anyway, yeah, since it's a two-parter, both parts are awesome in every way. You have the first part. It has action, humor, not to mention in one scene there's a cameo appearance of the 80s Turtles, April O'Neil, and Casey. I don't want to make a joke that AVGN uses in some instances, especially when Don sees the other April and he gets all smitten, wearing a banana wearing raincoat. I can't even fathom it. Yeah, this is what I get for trying to come up with all this information in such a short amount of time. I didn't have time to prepare. It's fitting because Don, April, and Casey does get a look at the various alternate worlds, hoping to reach Dimension X to try to find a way to stop the Krang. The second half, however, is where I really liked it, is where the Turtles, well, they get their butts kicked by Tiger Claw, and Tiger Claw beats them down bad, only for Splinter to show up and save them. Although, one of the funniest moments I liked about it, Splinter has a chase phone. Seriously? A chase phone? I'm not questioning it, but having a chase phone would make sense, but it was just a little bit funny. Not to mention, Splinter shows up and takes down Tiger Claw in an epic battle. For me personally, it was the highlight of the episode, where it began with some Japanese banter between the two, followed by a sweet showdown. And you notice that Splinter is just as awesome as we all know. You notice during the fight with Splinter and Tiger Claw, Splinter relied on hitting Tiger Claw with pressure points, like where you hit like specific body parts to weaken your opponent. It's a pretty interesting technique, and it shows just how incredibly smart Splinter is. Not to mention, he was able to dodge most of Tiger Claw's assaults. It would have been pretty cool had it not been for Karai striking a dart into Splinter, knocking him out, which sets things up in part 2. Part 1 did end with a cliffhanger, and it was like a scary one. I was a bit terrified. Part 2 continued where part 1 left off. Splinter gets kidnapped, and it's up to the other Turtles to save him from Tiger Claw, Karai, Razar, Zever, and the Shredder. Not to mention, Don, Casey, and April try to find a way to stop the blue giant Krang worms. Overall, I felt that both plots were pretty good. It provided some really awesome moments, as well as a lot of good character development, and some interesting emotional stuff. Although there were like a lot of highlights in part 2. Like, for example, April and Casey riding a giant Krang worm. That I found it to be pretty funny. There was also another highlight with Splinter battling Shredder. And Splinter actually put up a good fight against the Shredder, even with a handicap. Even with the handicap, he was able to do it. Though it all did set up for an impressive rescue operation that the other Turtles were able to do. And the ending really was a shocker, with Don having to be improvisational so that way he could be able to send the Krang worms out of this world, and who knows where they would end up. Though it did set up for a nice little bit at the very end. In the ending, it sets in the 87 world, and the 87 Turtles are enjoying pizza, and then they see the Krang word, and my nostalgicness went into overdrive seeing the 87 Turtles reprise their roles with their original voice actors. Unlike Turtles Forever, this one is one show I like even more because they were able to bring the original voice actors back, even if it is for a cameo appearance. But you guys already know that they would reprise their roles not once, but twice. The Season 4 episode Transdimensional Turtles, as well as the Season 5 3-parter Wanted Bebop and Rocksteady, which I did a review on and I have the DVD. If you haven't checked out my reviews for either of them, you should, because this right here marks the first time we would see the 87 Turtles in action, even if it is just for a minor bit with their voice actors reprising them, and I feel that this kind of sets things up a little bit, set it up for when they would eventually cross paths in the Season 4 episode. And for what it's worth, I loved it. I really did enjoy this 2-part episode big time. Although I can't understand why they have to give it 2 different names. You have the name The Manhattan Project, and no, this does not have anything to do with the third NES TMNT game with is named after, The Manhattan Project, or the one involving in the end of World War II. I'd rather not mention that. But the other name they gave it is Wormquake. Why Wormquake? I believe that was the name that was originally aired when they aired it on Nickelodeon. But I think I kind of like the Manhattan Project a bit better because one of the characters in the episode actually details all the things in regards to those Krang worms. This pretty much gave Don what he needed to hopefully find a way to beat him down by using salt. Yeah, salt. Salt is actually kind of strange, but never thought it would actually work against worms. It worked really well enough that they were able to get Casey out of there. Yeah, Casey ends up getting swallowed by one of those giant Krang worms. It's just disgusting. But yeah, I really enjoyed this 2-parter big time. I feel personally it's one of the best of Season 2. Hands down, I loved it. I really loved it big time. My ratings for both parts will be in the description below, and next week we'll be returning to 2 episodes each next week, and I think by this point, we're halfway through Season 2. If things continue as they are by next month, hopefully, I should be ready to hopefully review Season 3. So look forward to that when it comes. And we're also 4 episodes away. I'd rather not want to say it. If you know the show, you can pretty much tell what's going to happen. So yeah, that is pretty much going to be it for this TMNT episode review. It's a big review, alright, because I'm reviewing 2 episodes because it's a 2-parter, but worth it. And it's going to be like this as well when we reach the Season 2 finale. Hopefully. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to hit the like button. It really does mean a lot to me. And if you want to see more videos like this, including my playthroughs on YouTube, as well as my Flash reviews, they're not coming back till next week, and all that, be sure to subscribe to me. Be sure to click on the bell so that way you'll be notified of future uploads. And if you want to be mega awesome, consider supporting me on Patreon. It's optional, but by supporting me in this manner, you can help me continue doing what I love. It really does mean a lot. This is Mega Man NG signing off. Peace out. See you next week. Booyakasha!